All right. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast. I am your regular host, LeTara, here today with a new guest host, Marcus. Hello.
Hey.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show. Marcus, tell everybody what your involvement with Passions is. What's your Passions backstory?
So I don't really have a huge Passions backstory. I was recently listening to some podcasts, recently as like 2 years ago, and people were mentioning Passions, like two different podcasts, both mentioned Passions for no reason. And I was like, okay, I think I want to watch this. And then I found it on like YouTube or whatever and started watching it. And I was like, you know what? I think I watched, I think I've seen this before. And it kind of like brought back memories that were just like hidden away that I had seen some of the show, not like, day in, day out, but I had seen parts of it and moments of it. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely know something about this. So I've just been kind of watching it and vaguely knowing some things already. But also a lot of it's just like a surprise to me. So it's like for the most part, it's like 70% new, but then like a little bit where I'm like, I remember like Sheridan being dead. I was like, I know she's not dead.
Yeah.
I know she's
Yeah, it's interesting because when you watch it the very, very first time, if you had watched it when it aired, it's like, oh my God, like Sheridan's dead. But yeah, going back to it, it's like, obviously Sheridan's not dead. So you were watching it all the way through for the first time, basically.
Basically, yeah.
And where are you in the show now? How much have I spoiled for you so far? I'll try not to, but
I mean, there is some little things that have been spoiled, but it's not like a big deal to me because it doesn't necessarily matter what the spoiler is. It's like, how do you get to that point?
Exactly.
But so like I've been watching it and I try to watch it enough so that when the podcast comes out, I've already seen that part. So I'm just like a little bit ahead, not very far ahead.
Okay, good. Awesome. All right. So, well, that means these episodes are a little bit beyond what you've watched.
I've watched them now, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, here we are. We're getting into it. All right. So today, everybody, we are talking about episodes 411 through 415, right? That's what I watched. Okay, good. So we're going to start with magic today. This week, I enjoyed the week. I thought it was fun. Last week was extremely explosive. Like last week was absolutely insane, pure insanity. And they kind of dialed it down a little bit. And by dialed it down, I mean Father Lonigan shows up and starts raining holy water all over the fucking place. Like that's Passions dialing things down. So so it still was really exciting this week. So actually, speaking of Father Lonigan, let's start with magic. So we pick up and everybody, Kay, Miguel, Luis, Jessica, and Reese are all in Charity's room. Everybody's trying to figure out where's Charity. Of course, Kay knows where Charity is, right? They find these scorch marks in her room, but they're special scorch marks because there's nothing else burned in the room. And I made the point last week, which is Hecuba was able to have the gates of hell open up in this room and disappear, but she couldn't get rid of two little scorch marks. Like, why are those even there? But Luis says, I'm gonna call the police. Not the police. What can the police do? He is the police and he can't do anything. I'm gonna call the fire department, have them investigate these scorch marks. Okay, Luis, I like this thought process. We're gonna have the fire people, fire experts come and look at this. Then Father Lonigan shows up out of absolutely nowhere. Okay.
Yep. I wrote my notes. I'm like, whoa, what is he doing here now? Okay.
First of all, where has this man been? Christmas has come and gone, and we didn't see him at church. I have not seen Father Lonigan in a solid 100 episodes. Like, I can't tell. I don't even remember the last time I saw him. He must have been on vacation. Maybe he was on a tour of like the Vatican or something. Maybe when he was called to Rome. He was called by the Pope called away for important Catholic business. I don't know, but he's back in town, and he's back with all his grandness. I love this blind priest. I mean, I love him and I hate him because, like, where have you been? You could have prevented this, probably. I mean, you know what I mean? Because he shows up and he says, first of all, nobody even knows he was there. He just walks in the house, comes up the stairs by himself. And everybody's like, Father Lonigan, what are you doing here? He's like, I don't know. I had a nightmare. And then I was expecting him to like describe the nightmare, but all he said was, it was a dream about this house, a house that normally is filled with Grace Bennett's warmth that had become so cold. That's the nightmare. That's it. That's what brought you here. Do you had a dream that the house was cold as ice? I don't get it. Give me some, like, why didn't he dream of demons? And you know what I mean? Fire, hell, something. And he called it a nightmare. I mean, is that really a nightmare? It's like, oh, I dreamt that your house was colder than it normally is. Did you turn down the thermostat? What a nightmare.
There must be something that he's just not telling people because, yeah, that's weird. Just a little dream makes you come over. No, there must be more to it.
Well, he says he had a feeling. So then he comes over. I mean, they tell him, well, Charity is missing. And he says, well, I think that Charity's disappearance and my nightmare are connected. And I'm sure he's correct, right? By the way, everybody, I'm sorry. I did not disclose. If you probably noticed, I'm losing my voice. I sound insane, but it is, but I am fine and okay. And I will make it through the show, but I might have to take a break at some point. But sorry about how mannish I sound today. I'm sorry. My voice is so deep today because I have misused it the last week. So, all right. Getting back into Passions after all that little aside. He says he goes into her room. They take her into her room. He says that forces of evil are at work. And he's inspecting her room and he says, it's here. Evil's here. Okay. Luis, I loved Luis's like reaction to all of this. He's like, no offense, Father Lonigan, you know, but I think she probably is just out. I think he says, I think this is just a case of a girl sleepwalking. And Father Lonigan says, I think this is a case of evil at work. Like, I believe Charity is no longer in this world. And I mean, think about that. Think about somebody saying that to you. It sounds crazy, right?
Absolutely. These people in the show always say things that are like so disturbing and everyone just kind of lets it pass.
Yeah. Like we're really just gonna let that one float on by, huh? Not gonna unpack that at all. And you know, the thing is, now Luis has not been over here for like the birds and the blood on the walls. He was there for the fireball, but that's really the extent of like any kind of supernatural things he has seen. So I do understand Luis's kind of trepidation to believe this kind of supernatural thing is happening. But everybody else, I feel like they should be right on board. Once you've seen the walls in your house bleed, I mean, anything is possible. Absolutely anything. Did they
ever find out what the blood was? I know like Eve was testing it.
They never brought it up again.
And instead, like Grace got her blood tested.
Listen. Eve comes back with the sample at one point and gives it to Reese of all people. She says that it's inconclusive. It's still out for study at the lab or whatever. So she hasn't gotten the results back. That's the last we hear of it. And then she gives the sample of it to Reese to do his Reesiness with it, you know. But yeah, no, they never. We still have not. They have not gotten to the bottom of that. Except who was it? Reese then looked. Oh my God, this is so dumb. Reese then he takes the sample and he uses his stupid ass Palm Pilot and he was like, "This blood, it's not human blood." How do you know that? Like,
how's he even testing that? Does he have like a freaking microscope? Like, how can you tell?
Palm Pilot, I guess. I don't know. It's so crazy. But anyway, we're gonna skip back up to where we are now. which is evil is here and Father Lonigan's here to destroy it, people, with his holy water. So he says that he needs to fight the forces of evil, and he starts to pray, and he drops to his knees, and he causes this disturbance. Like he's saying this very powerful prayer, like powers of goodness. Also, he never says like Jesus. They never talk about Jesus.
No,
which
they
is
don't.
interesting to me for such religious people. It's always just like goodness powers, please help me. Powers of goodness that I need. Angels help me. But it's never like Jesus and God, right?
So I mean, it must be intentional.
It has to be.
Even though it's so like Catholic, but then they're just not actually saying a specific deity, I guess.
It's such an interesting choice for them to have chosen Christianity specifically and then not to like mention like Jesus. And maybe they do talk about God, but if they do, it is sparingly. You know, it's always like the angels and the forces of good.
Forces of good, forces of darkness,
yeah,
evil.
But you've made this very conscious decision to choose a Christian religion, then you should use the Christian religion. Not folklore, it's not folklore, but you know what I mean. Yes. The Christian religion, like, well, the only word I can think of is lore, and I guess lore works. But anyway, he drops his knees and he's like, powers of goodness, help me fight the evil, fight the evil and destroy the evil here in this room. Evil. Well, nothing happens in the room. However, at Tabitha's house, an earthquake happens. Her house starts just shaking and a rumbling. Hecuba's over there fucking around with Tabitha and Timmy, and we will talk about that a little bit more. But like, it is annoying because Hecuba's whole thing is like, oh, now that I've gotten rid of Charity, I'm gonna destroy you, Tabitha and Timmy. But then she just like monologues. She does like the villain monologue where she doesn't get a chance to destroy them because then Father Lonigan shows up and starts doing all this nonsense, right? So the Tabitha's house is like quaking, shaking, and Hecuba gets hurt. Did you see how she got hurt? She got like knocked out.
She got knocked down at some point during the earthquake, I guess.
Yeah. So she got hurt for like, and she was like stunned for a little bit. She was down for a bit, but then she got popped right back up. But anyway, that's what's going on over there. So anything that Father Lonigan is doing in Charity's room is affecting Tabitha's house. That is very important. So he's trying to pray the evil away. Then after the earthquake, Father Lonigan starts blessing the room with holy water, and some splashes on Kay. This was really interesting. And when it splashes on Kay, it burns her, and she manages to hide it and runs out of the room. And Simone, y'all, we get a Simone appearance. I saw her and I was like, oh shit.
Gone. Yeah,
I saw her and I was like, oh shit, where's Simone been? Like, I had forgotten that she existed because we have not seen her, and you would think she would have been over. Where's she been?
Nowhere. She hasn't been anywhere. I know because I was wondering, like, when is she going to show up to cause some trouble with Whitney and Chad?
Yeah, but
she's been MIA.
Yeah. She's been gone for a good little bit, but she showed up today looking gorgeous, I might add. She looked beautiful. She's gorgeous. I think today I saw her and I really was like, I just think she is prettier than Whitney. They're both absolutely beautiful women, but like, she's so, her skin's so smooth. Her eyes are so big and beautiful. And they're like a hazel color. And then her hair is like so thick and long. Oh, she's gorgeous. But anyway, that's not what this is about. What this is about, you know what? I just want to give Simone some love because they have just like decided to write her out of the show for the last like 100 episodes. So I was like, let me give Simone some love because she was looking good. So, Charity's in hell. Not Charity. R.I.P. No. So Simone chases Kay out of the room, sees that her arm is burnt, and she's like, oh my God, Kay, what happened to your arm? And Kay says, oh, what did she say? I must have bumped into the stove.
Something, yeah.
but it was like little
Doesn't make
dots.
sense. It's little circles.
Yeah, it was like somebody had burned her with cigarettes on her arm, like several burns on her arms. Like you didn't bump into no stove, baby. Like I'm not buying it. But anyways, but Simone does, I guess, kind of. And so the other thing that happens while he's blessing this room with holy water, it starts to flat out rain holy water inside of Tabitha's house. And of course it's burning Hecuba and Tabitha. Tabitha and Timmy like hide under a table. Hecuba just rolls around and writhes in pain in this downpour of holy water. Tabitha sends Timmy to the kitchen and gets some herbs, she calls them, some herbs that will help with the wounds. And the raining stops. And I don't know, I guess Father Lonigan just stopped blessing the room with holy water. I think it was Luis who kind of stopped him and was like, I don't think this is doing anything. Because it wasn't doing anything that they could see, right? Well, once Tabitha gets the herbs from Timmy, she gives some to Hecuba to help Hecuba. Tabitha is good in her heart, like at her core, I think.
Yeah, I mean, she's not necessarily ever killing anybody. She's like, well, she's threatening it.
She's killed several people.
Wow.
She's killed several
people. The people, yeah, she has. She killed the IRS guy or whatever.
She killed the tax man. Yep. She killed Faith. She killed the guy at the gas station that caught in on flames. She like set him on fire at the gas station. He's definitely dead. Oh yeah. And she has that whole collection of shoes of people that she has fed to the friends in the basement. Tabitha's a murderer, like a lovable one. Yeah, one that we love, and we can forgive her for it, but like it adds to her character, I guess. But she has definitely killed a bunch of people, bunch of people, which is crazy because she is so like jovial and like the comic relief. She's the comic relief, but she's also a murderer. It's weird. True, yeah. Weird choice, but I like it. But I dig it. I dig this choice. Yeah. So where were we? Hecuba. Oh yeah.
She's gonna save her basically with the herbs.
She gives Hecuba the herbs to help her with her wounds, and they're all sitting on the couch. Timmy makes martinis, and it's very I really liked it, even though it didn't really add to anything. But actually that's not true. It shows the dynamic between Tabitha and Hecuba, and that they really are like just like siblings, like rival. They have like this sibling rivalry between them. And so they're sitting there, and Hecuba says, don't think that this is going to keep me from killing you. I'm still going to kill you just as soon as I get my strength back, And Timmy's like, but I gave you my martinis. I love Timmy. But Hecuba's like, and it's a great drink, but I'm still going to kill you both. You're not getting out of this. So then there's a lot of back and forth because what's happening in Charity's room affects what's happening at Tabitha's house. So I can't do this is what happened over here, and then this is what I have to do them back and forth. I feel like there's a lot of that this week where there's this thing is affecting this thing, so you have to kind of go back and forth talking about them. That at least that's how my notes are set up too, which normally it's really kind of contained. Everything's really contained. But I think this week it was very like back and forth. So hopefully y'all are not confused by my storytelling. So Father Lonigan tells Luis, because Luis tells Father Lonigan, I don't think any of this is working. I think we should be out looking for Charity because she's missing, and she obviously is not in this house. We should be out looking for her wherever she is. Father Lonigan tells Luis that he just needs to have some faith. There's a lot of things going on in this world that you can't see, and you don't know what it is, but there's evil around, and it's threatening to consume Charity, and it's all very near to them. And he says it's threatening to consume all of us and all of Harmony. And he says Charity is very near, but she is not within the confines of this world. She's being held by evil. And that's when Luis goes out takes everybody with him and is like, let's go search. He's like, no offense, Father, but we're going to go search. Kay decides to stay behind just in case Charity comes back, even though she knows she ain't coming back. And everybody else goes out and forms kind of like this search party to go find Charity. Well, so Kay's the only one at the house, and Father Lonigan is just there at the house as well, staying in that room, just like working his priest magic, working his priest blessings. I don't know. And so he starts to pray again, and he's saying, I am an instrument of God. I command you to make yourself known. Evil, show yourself. I command you to come to me. And he keeps saying that. Evil, I command you to come to me. Evil, make yourself known. And then Kay starts to light up.
Yep.
Yeah.
She gets like dragged into the room. She's
got like a halo, a bright orange halo around her. And she's just glowing, radioactive. This girl. And she starts being pulled into the room, and she gets pulled in. The door closes behind her. Father Lonigan goes, who's there? Soulless creature. He starts calling Kay a soulless creature because he doesn't know who she can't sense Kay. He only senses something there with no soul. And this was my favorite thing. And I will now be calling Kay the soulless creature from now on. It's even when she gets her soul back, she will always and forever be the soulless creature, because he said it so many times and I loved it every single time. It was like, make yourself known, soulless creature. I know you're there, soulless creature. I pity you, you soulless creature. It was a lot and it was thick, but Kay, the soulless creature, bless her heart, if she had one, if she only had a soul. She doesn't though. And Father Lonigan knows this. So she doesn't say anything. She's standing there in the room and she says nothing. She's just waiting. She just like is frozen because she doesn't want Father Lonigan to know that she doesn't have a soul, which, and we get there by the end of this show, these episodes. But if I were Kay, once I was alone with Father Lonigan, he would be the first person. I'd be like, Father Lonigan, okay, here's the deal, sir. I need your help. You seem to know what's going on, and I need you to help me get my soul back. Charity's in hell. And then again, I actually don't know which way I would play this. I think I would play dumb. I think I might continue to play dumb. Yeah, I might continue to play dumb. I don't know. I mean, who wants to cop to the fact that they sold their soul to get with a guy who doesn't want to have sex with them or doesn't have any interest in them? And not only did you sell your soul for that, but the trade-off was that you had to send your cousin to hell. Yeah. I don't know if I could cop to it now that I think about it. No, I don't think I could. Then again, you have priest parishioner confidentiality, don't you, when you do confession?
I guess so, yeah.
I'm not Catholic, but I work for Catholics, so I know a little something about it. I know I don't. I really don't. I've been to like 2 masses in my entire life, like Catholic masses. Are you Catholic at all? Like, do you know anything about like the Catholic
I know vague things.
Yeah, like the stuff everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same. Okay, so Kay's frozen. How the hell did she get out? Did she get out of there before Jessica? So Jessica comes back in. She hears Father Lonigan upstairs saying, make yourself known, soulless creature. Who is in this room with me? I know it is you, soulless creature. And so she goes upstairs. She goes into the room. She opens the door and she says to Father Lonigan, I can tell you exactly who's in here. And then the answer is nobody.
Nobody.
Huh?
Yeah, I have no idea how Kay got out.
How did she? I assume she actually left the room before Jessica ever even came up the stairs, I guess. And they just kind of missed each other. Jessica came up the back stairs and the other one, Kay, soulless creature, went down the front stairs. I guess. I don't know. But yeah, the answer is nobody. And then Father Lonigan's like, well, it was here a minute ago, but now it's gone. I don't sense the soulless creature anymore. So then Father Lonigan just leaves. He goes over to Tabitha's. He's drawn to Tabitha's house, which he says, oh, there's so much evil in this house. I can sense it. This is like the most evil place in Harmony. How is this the first time he's ever sensed the evil at Tabitha's house? She literally has demons living in her basement. What's he doing? What is he do? This seems to be the first time he's realized. And I mean, he's been to the Bennett home before. He knew how to get there and up the stairs by himself. He knew how to, he's been to Pilar's house. All of those homes are all near Tabitha's house. He's never sensed the evil before at her house. Well, anyway, instead of knocking on the door, to figure out who's inside and what the evil is, Father Lonigan just starts throwing holy water at Tabitha's house, like from the sidewalk. Like he wasn't even up on the porch. He wasn't in the yard. He was like at the gate, just throwing holy water at her house. And then it again begins to downpour holy water in Tabitha's house. And Tabitha and Hecuba take cover under like jackets, I guess, and are getting burned. Of course, it doesn't affect Timmy because he's a doll and he's good, right? He's like pure good, truly. He just does Tabitha's bidding. And in truth, he doesn't. A lot of times he's kind of the reason her plans get foiled, you know, because he's like, no, Timmy is good. Timmy doesn't want to hurt Charity because he loves her. The power of love compels you. So that is what comes next. Let's see. Oh my gosh. So Kay's at home by herself because Jessica goes back out to look for Charity. Kay's at home by herself. She lays down on the couch. She just kind of talks about how she just says out loud, I sold my soul to Hecuba to get Miguel, and how could I do that? But oh well, what's done is done, you know. And she lays down on the couch, and then these shadows start to emerge from the floor. These shadow monsters. I don't even know how to describe them beyond it was like fat stick figures. I don't know how to. I don't know how. I don't know, but they were just these figures of shadowy figures, and they come up through the floor, and they start to say to Kay, "Come with us, Kay. Your work here is done. It's time for you to come back to hell with us." And then this girl, instead of running out of the house, would you run out of the house?
Yes, but no, she gets to run right back up to Charity's room.
Yeah, instead of running out of the house, she goes to the one place in the house where she knows hell is. They're telling you, come with us. It's time for you to go to hell with us. So then she goes to the room where hell is. You know exactly where the portal to hell is, girl. You helped open it. There's several rooms. Go to the kitchen. Shit. The backyard. The laundry room. Why? But she goes to Charity's room. She runs directly to Charity's room, where she immediately gets trapped by, it was funny, because the gates to hell open up, and you hear Charity inside screaming to Kay, and just in general, just screaming, help, 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 Miguel, Kay, help me. And then I guess she sees Kay. This was confusing to me. I didn't understand what Charity was saying. And maybe she's just like so distraught that she's not making any sense. I mean, she is burning in hell after all. But she starts yelling at Kay to change her ways. Like Marley in Scrooge in Christmas Carol. He comes to Scrooge and then tells him, if you don't change your ways, then you're going to end up just like me. And that's exactly what Charity says to Kay. So you're going to end up just like me. If you don't change your ways, you're going to end up here in hell with me. But like, it's too late. What are you talking about? If I change my ways, I'm literally being dragged to hell right this second. So your advice is is not advice. It's non-advice. It's useless. Charity, because Charity kept saying, I'm trying to help you, Kay. I don't know. I know Charity's being burned in hell and I should feel sympathy for her, but I just don't. I don't. I don't know. I think
no, yeah. I'm not a fan of Charity. Yeah.
I think this moment especially was like, girl, shut up. It was just so like self-righteous and sanctimonious. Like, you the one in hell. But anyway, Charity tells Kay, you need to change your ways or you're never going to or you're gonna be trapped here with me if they're gonna pull you to hell or whatever. Well, it doesn't matter because they pulled this giant arm comes out of the fires, out of the portal, and it stretches, and every time Kay takes a step back, it grows, and it finally grabs her by the neck and it yanks her into the closet. It was cool, actually. It was one of the, I mean, it was still like kind of hokey. Like the effects are just, I mean, the effects are old. So just that by itself is like, oh man, these are old effects. But on top of that, a lot of times the effects on this show are like so low budget, even for the time. But honestly, for this, I was like, you know what? This is a decent effect for Passions. Like, that was pretty cool. The way it grabbed her and, I mean, snatched her right back into the closet. And so then Kay's in hell, and I loved it because she deserves it. You know, she deserves to be dragged to hell too. I as much as I dislike Charity, she didn't deserve what she got. She didn't. I don't mind it. I don't mind it, but she didn't deserve it. You know, I can admit that much. She didn't deserve what she got. But Kay absolutely deserves to like get a little taste of hell. Okay? Because she has done a lot of shit and she's shitty. I like Kay now. Like, I like her as a character, but she's not a good person.
No.
She's so bad.
Absolutely not.
So Kay's in hell. Father Lonigan, who has been raining down holy water at Tabitha's house, he's like, this is the most evil place in Harmony. And then he stops. He's like, wait a minute. Now I'm sensing even more evil coming from Charity's room. I must make haste back over to the Bennett home. So he goes back over to the Bennett home and he gets into Charity's room and hears Kay yelling from the closet. He's like, and actually pulls her from hell, is able to pull it from hell, tries to pull Charity as well, but only manages to get Kay out. And then the closet doors slam shut. And when he opens them back up, it's just Charity's clothes again. So he was not able to, quote, pull Charity from the fiery pit. His words, not mine. But good words. I loved it. I must pull Charity from the fiery pit.
What I loved is when Father Lonigan comes back and he's like, Kay, is that you? And she's like, the souls of the damned have pulled me into the closet. It's a portal to hell. And I'm like, oh my God.
So good. I loved it. So he has pulled her out. And then Father Lonigan realizes that Kay, he's like, Kay, you're the soulless creature from before. I just love soulless creature. Like, straight up, I think I might start a band called Soulless Creature. I might write a song. I don't know. I have to do something with that. I fucking love it. I don't know why I like it so much. Soulless Creature and Blind Priest are like, I feel like Blind Priest is a good name for a bar. And I feel like Soulless Creature would be a good drink that you would serve at that bar. Right. Blind Priest and Soulless Creature. I just love it. I got to do something with that. But anyway, he realizes that Kay is that soulless creature. And he tells her, tell me what happened. You have to tell me. I can help you get your soul back, but the only thing you can do is tell me what happened. And that's the only way I can help you and Charity. We got to help get your soul back. And we have to save Charity. And Kay says, okay, I'm going to tell you everything. And that's where we ended this week, right?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit. I mean, at the very end, also before he confronts Kay, it was that Tabitha seems to be reinvigorated because she's like, we're gonna have like the showdown between witches. And I'm gonna use that spell that I used like 300 years ago to block you away.
Well, you know, Timmy says to Tabitha, "Hey Tabitha," because once Hecuba feels healed after the first holy water attack, she's like, "All right, now I'm ready to kill you motherfuckers again. Get ready." And then Timmy says to Tabitha, "Hey Tabitha, Charity's been destroyed. That means you should have gotten your powers back." And Tabitha's like, "You know what? You're right, Timmy. You're right, Tim. If Charity truly is destroyed, then I should have my powers back." So she gets like super emboldened and she's like, "All right, bitch, get ready." And we're going to find out who got the better powers between the two of us, right? And Hecuba is scared. This is how we know Tabitha truly is, or what Tabitha really was, that bitch, or she really was that witch. You know what I mean? Because Hecuba was shaken. She was very scared. She's like, "No, I was." She even starts to try to strike a deal with Tabitha, which Tabitha should have taken. She tries to strike a deal with Tabitha, like, "Why don't we work together?" And Tabitha's like, "Nope." Just like, "Nope. The boat is gone. The train's left the station," or some bullshit. And she was like, "I tried to make a pact with you before, and you said you wanted to kill me and send me to hell. Now we're going to find out you want the bowels of hell. Here you go. You're about to get the bowels of hell." And so she tries to do this spell on Hecuba, and Hecuba is terrified. But then it doesn't work because Charity's not destroyed. Charity's just burning in hell, you know? So that's when Tabitha's like, "So it seems that you actually didn't destroy Charity, like you said." And so the friends in the basement start to rumble, and Tabitha's like, "Yep, you're getting a taste of everything I've been dealing with this whole time. Like, you keep coming up here telling me how pathetic it is that I couldn't get rid of this one little blondie goody two shoes teenage girl, but you can't get rid of her either." You know? And the friends in the basement seem to be unhappy with both Hecuba and Tabitha now. So that is where we ended this week. Do you have anything else to add before we move on?
I just liked why they did like Father Lonigan just like using the holy water on the street rather like instead of inside Tabitha's house or like at her doorstep is because they wanted to do a reference to The Exorcist, because it's literally this like famous shot of Father Merrin outside in front of the house, just kind of staring at it. And they just wanted to do that. I don't know why, but these people suddenly really love like classic horror movies. We had the whole Psycho thing.
Yeah, we've had Psycho, we've had The Bird, Carrie. They do love horror movies. I think probably James C. Reilly probably really liked horror movies. That seems like him, you know. I think he really loved like supernatural kinds of shit and like scary, evil kinds of things. You know, I've never seen The Exorcist, so that shot, I saw it and I knew it was they were trying to do something, but I didn't get the reference because I've never seen The Exorcist. So catch, good catch.
Yeah, I mean the actual content of what's going on is completely different, but that scene specifically was like, this is an Exorcist shot. Also because it doesn't look at all like Harmony, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it went like really dark, and then there's like flashes of light, and it was very different stylistically than the rest of the show has been. Yeah. So I knew they were trying to do something. I just didn't know what it was. So I was like, okay. But you got it. So awesome. And everybody else knows that they did an Exorcist reference that I did not catch. So actually, before we go on, because I always forget, before we go on, I'm going to take a moment and say shout outs to patrons. Let me just pull this up. All right. So I'm going to say a big thank you to Muna Shay, Marcus, Erica, Breland, Lisa, Zach, Sid, Sarana, Dustin, Heather, Randall, Ashley, Shannon, Hannah, Camelia, Amanda, Monique, Samantha, Amy, Jeanette, Eric, and Jamie. Thank you all so much. Marcus, of course, is the Marcus I just said is the Marcus that is here with me today. So thank you, Marcus, for being a patron, and thank you all so much for being patrons. It really helps keep the show afloat and helps me do what I do and bring the show every week. So thank you all very much. And remember, if anybody out there wants to become a patron and help as well, you can just go to patreon.com/Passions Podcast and sign up for whatever tier you would like. So we're gonna move on now. Oh Lord, we're going to the mansion, y'all. Going to the mansion where Grace has taken a tumble. Bless her heart. Oh, great Grace. Grace. The way they write Grace is just not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. You know, she should get more than what she gets. Justice for Grace at this point, in my opinion, for her character, because they write her so simpering. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. She is so fucking fragile. I can't stand it. And I guess it makes sense because Sam has said part of the reason he hasn't told her over the years is that he didn't want to like upset her. And I've been saying like, that's ridiculous. Like, you know, it's just an old girlfriend.
Yeah,
big fucking whoop.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the big deal is.
You know, that you loved, and people love many people in their lives generally. You know, it's not that you just get to love one person. That's, you know, it's nonsense. So it's ridiculous to me that Grace should be so upset and so like to the point that she's like putting herself in the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Also, it shouldn't be a super surprise because it has been slowly kind of hinted at in her face directly, even earlier at the party.
Yes. Grace has been all but told this over the course of this whole show. You know, she has been all but flat out told that this is what happened. Not that Ethan is his son, but you know, there's been a lot of hints leading up to this. But anyway, Grace is at the top of the staircase while this whole conversation downstairs is going on between Julian and Ivy and Ethan and Sam, where Ivy admits that she finally just outright says Ethan is Sam's son. Yes, it's true. Ethan, you are not a Crane, you are a Bennett. And this woman, Grace, she hears it and she falls to pieces, figuratively and literally. She just got it. I guess she just got so weak and it overtook her and she was overwhelmed and she just rolled down the stairs. I don't know what. Me personally, I would have sat down.
Yeah, for me, I mean, also if you fall down the stairs, you may fall down the full way, but I think that's more like a movie thing. Usually it's kind of like you kind of fall a little bit, not the full length of the stairs. So I was just like, when this happened, I'm like, drama.
Yeah, she fell down the grandest staircase. I think they made it taller just for these episodes. I don't remember it being that tall. Like, she fell down for so long and went so far. Like it was like she was rolling down a mountain. It was ridiculous. But yeah, she went down. But yeah, like, girl, if you're feeling faint, sit down. Sit down. You're pregnant. Just sit down. And that's another thing. She had been like roaming around upstairs in this house for God knows how long, and Pilar's just following around her. And that's another thing. Pilar, grab her. I'm like, she's at the edge of the staircase. Just put your hand on her and pull her back. She's a pregnant woman who you know is about to get like this insane information. Pull her away from the stairs. I just think this could have been prevented so easily on both parts, from Pilar and from Grace. They both could have prevented this, but it was not prevented. She falls down the stairs. She rolls all the way down, and which interrupts this entire conversation downstairs about this revelation that Ethan is Sam's son, and it's all very, very dramatic. Thank goodness we found a way to get out of that. They had to find a way to get everybody out of that room and start moving in a new direction, because how do you conclude this conversation? You know what I mean? How do you conclude this conversation in a soap opera way where you can continue to have all of these kind of lingering, open-ended questions? Like, are Sam and Ethan ever going to talk to each other? Because I think in real life, or even if we were watching like a Netflix series, that conversation would have started and Ethan and Sam likely would have at least said something to each other, or they would have said, you know, I can't deal with this, and walk away. And then we pick up with them some other time. But of course, in a soap opera, it's like we want to leave everything as open-ended as possible so that we can stretch everything out for a very long amount of time. So we have a lot of unanswered questions here. We had a lot of things about like Julian's feelings around this with Ethan, and where Ivy stands. We don't even know where Ivy, like, I was like, are they going to just kick her out tonight? Straight up. If it were me, if I was Julian, Ivy would be out, period. You leave, go. I don't know where, I don't care where you go, but you cannot stay here. Get out of my house. Although she has every right to be at the house. It is her house still because she is married to Julian. So actually, he couldn't kick her out legally. Anyway, Grace falls down the stairs. I said all that to say Grace is at the bottom of the stairs and it broke up the party. I mean, the party was pretty broken up to begin with, but she really killed. The party was Sheridan on life support and Grace was Ethan pulling the plug, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but ain't no reviving this party. So they, of course, Eve attends to Grace. Everybody rushes over like, oh my God, Grace, the baby. Oh my goodness, she's pregnant. Eve is a bad doctor because she immediately is like, we need to move her.
We're going to pick her up, take her to a different room. For what purpose? And why are you moving her? You don't know what's wrong with her. Don't move her.
Yes, they moved her from the bottom of the staircase.
Also, isn't that right by the front door?
Right. This is the closest, like, they will, once the EMT get here, they will be able to get her more quickly than if you take her to another wing of the mansion and lay her on a leather couch. Leather couches, by the way, are not very comfortable, especially the kind that he has in that office with the tufts. Like, that is not and if somebody has an injury like that, it's likely a back or neck injury.
Yeah. You're not supposed to move them.
You're not supposed to move them. Yeah. Everybody knows this. I think I've known that since I was 9 years old. I think I saw that in a TV show one time. Like, I think I was watching ER with my mom when I was like 9, and I learned that. And I was like, oh shit, you're not supposed to move somebody if they fall like that. Okay. Eve, a medical professional, a doctor, no less, the doctor of the year, has this woman moved from the bottom of the staircase to Julian's office, and they call for an ambulance. And Sam, they get her to the office, and Sam is like so upset, distraught. He's like, oh my gosh, grappling with, what if my wife doesn't wake up? Because Grace is unconscious. She is not awake. He's like, what if she dies? What if we lose the baby? Like, he's very upset, and he feels guilty because this is kind of his fault, you know. And then he has a side conversation with Pilar, and he says, how did this happen? And Pilar explains that she heard everything. And he's like, oh my God, of course she did. Of course that's what happened. And so he's grappling with his guilt. And then Sam turns to Eve. It's interesting. There's multiple times in these episodes where Sam starts to pass the buck. Like, Sam starts to like put blame on Pilar, on Eve, but he doesn't take enough responsibility for himself, I don't think, in this situation until later. But at the beginning, he's like trying to find somebody to blame, it feels like. Like, he's guilty, but he's like, who can I put this guilt on? Like, who can I, looking around like, whose fault is this really? It can't possibly be really my fault, you know? But he has conversation with Eve, And he questions her about the birth records. And Eve, listen, y'all know I think that Eve is kind of despicable, like in general. But Eve did exactly what I would have done. Like, she's a bad doctor. She's a good liar. And he says, you know, you told me that you looked at the birth records and it said that Ethan was premature, right? So he can't possibly be my baby. She's like, yeah, I mean, that is what the record said. You know, frankly, if I were Eve, my wheels would be spinning right then and there. Like, I will be going to change those records immediately. Like, you know, nobody's going to find out. And I would be like, I mean, you can always say the Cranes had them doctored. Easy. Everybody would believe that. Absolutely everybody would believe it, whether it was true or not. Everybody would believe, oh, I'm sure that Ivy managed to get the powerful Ivy Crane managed to get her kid's birth record doctored. It would be easy to do, you know. You have to grease a couple of palms. I imagine it wouldn't take that long to get that corrected, which she should have done in the first place if I was Ivy. Just get it done. But she didn't. So now Eve's in a tough position with Sam. But she does. She sticks to her story. She says, yeah. He was definitely a premature when I saw those records. And then she also could have been like, but I mean, I could have read them wrong. Look, I was really tired that day. I don't know. I was having a rough day. I had lost a couple of patients as I do regularly, you know. So my eyes were a little puffy from crying. I don't know. Because I'm a bad doctor and I'm bad at my job. And I was grappling with the fact that I'm a very bad doctor, but everybody thinks I'm a saint. And so I couldn't read the dates correctly. Boom, 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 done. You know? I don't know. That's what I think. So he turns to Pilar after this conversation with Eve. He turns to Pilar. And he asks her point blank. He says, Ivy tells you everything. Tell me the truth. Is Ethan my son? And she says to him, yes, he is. And he then has to deal with the fact that this woman has been in his home for 20 years, visiting him, hanging out with his wife and his kids. And, you know, that they are neighbors who are close. And she has kept this an enormous secret from him for this entire time, you know. And I get it. I get his anger at Pilar. It's warranted. I also get why she didn't tell him. It's not her secret to tell.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's tough. It is tough because she had to decide where does the bulk of my loyalty lie? Does it lie with Ivy, not only my friend, but my employer, my bread and butter, right? She's how I feed my family. Or does it lie with a good friend, a person that I respect and truly care for, but I have to make a choice? And I think Pilar made, personally, we can debate this all day long. And I go back and forth on it. I've been going back and forth on it since I saw this scene. But I think Pilar made the right decision, because when I weigh it out and think about it, it's like, it's not her secret to tell. 2, the person whose secret it is could destroy her life, right? She had to think about herself. She has to put herself first. You have to put yourself first in certain situations, and this is one of those situations. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. There are no winners here. None. Nobody wins. Even Rebecca's about to lose out, which is hilarious, and I love. All right. So, he has this conversation with Pilar. He gets very angry with her. She says to him, when he asks her, he says, if Ivy didn't have the courage to tell me, why didn't you? Pilar says, it was my duty to keep this secret, and it wasn't my secret to tell. Ivy had sworn me to secrecy. And he says, but how could you keep something so important from me? You have been in my home. You spend time with my wife. My kids have been raised with your kids. Like, I feel like we're family and you kept this from me. And she's really upset. She tearfully apologizes to him. I'm so sorry, Sam. I'm so sorry. But he says it's not enough. So their relationship is kind of up in the air, which I wonder what the implication will be for his relationship with Luis, because he and Luis are very, very close, right? And I wonder if he will. I mean, Sam's not the type to take out his aggression on the wrong person, I don't think. But I wonder if it will color his relationship with Luis a little bit, because he has some animosity towards Luis's mother. And we know Luis loves his mama, right? He's kind of a mama's boy. So I am interested to see how that plays out. If it ever even comes up again. Like I honestly, it could just go away. That happens a lot on this show. So it might not even ever come up again, but I'm interested if it does. I think it would be an interesting angle, but there's also a lot going on to deal with other than like this very niche storyline of Luis and Sam's like relationship, big brother, little brother relationship. But I think it's interesting. So meanwhile, while this is all going on in the office with Sam and Grace and all the people around her, making sure she's okay, in the other room, it's just Ethan, Teresa, Gwen, and Rebecca. And Julian at some point, but Julian like finds his way. We're going to talk about Julian because it was incredible. Julian goes and takes a moment alone. But the tabloid reporter, has snuck back into the mansion.
Yeah.
This guy, he sneaks back in. He's like, oh my goodness, like, good thing I came back. This story's getting even better. And then he stands there in a room of 4 people and starts taking pictures and thinks that he's not being like, he's like trying to be slick and like trying to hide, but you're taking pictures with those cameras. You know, the cameras used to be really loud when they click, and then and it like as it wind the film, you know, where you have to do they had the automatic ones that would wind the film, and you didn't have to do anything, but you could hear the whirring and it was kind of loud. Or you had the ones that were manual and you had to do the little spin the little wheel.
Yeah.
Those were super loud. So like he takes one picture and is immediately found out. and Ethan's like, what the hell are you doing back here? He goes across the room, makes a beeline for this guy, grabs him, yanks him up by his lapels. He's like, I ought to send you back to your editor with broken legs, you know? And he says, tell me who your source is. Who sent you this letter? And the guy says, it was anonymous. I don't know. It was just a hot tip. And I took the tip. I'm just doing my job, man. No, you're just trespassing. Get out. And Ethan says, you're not gonna. I think Sheridan steps in and says he's not gonna tell us anything anyway. Sheridan gives that reporter a good tongue lashing, saying like, you people, all you do, how can you be like this? All you do is destroy people's lives. We're people too, and you don't care about how we feel. That this is very hurtful and painful for us right now, and you are being extremely disrespectful. Like she gives him a good talking to. And I'm on board with Sheridan. I love Sheridan this week. We don't get a lot of Sheridan, but she delivers several great lines. And also a lot of the stories aren't really centered on her. So we get her sprinkled a little bit throughout, right? But every time right now, Sheridan is like, she's finding herself and she's really coming into her voice, and I love it. So yeah, she cussed him out without cussing him out. She was very classy about it. And then Ethan tells him to get out, okay, and he throws them out. So Ethan and Sheridan, after they throw him out, they're grappling with the news together that Ethan is not a Crane by blood. Sheridan says to him, I don't care. you, for all intents and purposes, you are my nephew, you are my family. We might not be related by blood, but that changes nothing. You're the same person you always were. He needs to listen to Sheridan. She tells him, you are the same person you always have been. And we have, because y'all have all still shared all the same experiences.
Yeah.
But Ethan is feeling like, I don't know who I am anymore. He's having an identity crisis, which to some extent is totally reasonable, like understandable that he would start having kind of this identity crisis. And then to a certain extent, it's a little much, because you're a full-blown grown-ass man and you've done all of these things that have made up who you are beyond just your last name. Your last name doesn't make who you are, you know? So I see both sides of it, but he gets real annoying in a minute. So Ethan and Sheridan have a very special moment together. He said he thanks her for, you know, what she's saying, and they embrace. But she eventually leaves him by himself. Meanwhile, Rebecca is reveling in this like triumph. She thinks she's triumphed. These women, Rebecca and Gwen both are just so not like, Rebecca's not dumb. The thing is, Rebecca isn't dumb, but I can't think. So she's got that like a one-track mind. Like she doesn't think beyond out all the possibilities. She didn't think all the possibilities out on this stupid plan. And I've already said how dumb this plan is that she had. And the plan, and let me also say that this plan has changed a couple of times too, because at one point it was like, oh, once it's out that Ethan is in a crane, Teresa's gonna leave him, and because she's just a gold digger. Then it was, and now it's like, oh, Teresa. Once Ethan finds out that Teresa knew that he was a Bennett and didn't tell him, then he's just gonna throw her over. And they say this so many times in these episodes. Once he finds out that Teresa knew and didn't tell him, he's going to break up with her. And it doesn't dawn on them until much, much later that we can't out her without outing ourselves. So, and again, they're not dumb. It's just that Gwen's dumb. I think Gwen is dumb, but I don't think Rebecca is dumb. She just did not think this. She didn't think the scenario out the right way, and she didn't think about she didn't do the Doctor Strange, you know, where you think about all of the possible scenarios, you know, and say like, should I make this decision? Because it was a bad choice. Sending it to the tabloids is so just dumb, the worst way possible to disseminate this information. Like, I don't know if I said this last week or not, but if it were me, I would just say, hey, I found this on Teresa's laptop. Hello. Don't ask me why I was on her laptop. I was on her laptop because I was, you know, I didn't realize it was hers. I just opened it up thinking it was maybe Ivy's or somebody. Or maybe I thought it was my laptop. It looks a lot like my laptop. So I opened it. And then I saw this thing that said Ethan's secret, and I couldn't help myself. I opened it. Like literally, there was a thumbnail on the desktop called Ethan's secret. So like she didn't have it hidden. Nobody had to go snooping for it really. And I found this thing. I just thought you should know. That's Gwen's ticket. I definitely said that last week. I'm remembering saying it now.
Well, I mean, I guess because then in the end, it gets deleted. So you wouldn't have proof if you just said that. You'd have to have the story where you really did. I brought my floppy disk, I came back and I copied it off. So here's the proof, but it's a little weird. But I guess maybe if it was something so mind-blowing, I guess maybe you would.
Straight up, listen.
Or email it to yourself.
I don't even think I would have do the whole floppy disk thing. I think I would just take the laptop, show it to Ethan. Yeah. Like, look, there's a thing here called Ethan's secret. Click. Here it is.
Actually, why did they do the drama with the floppy disk anyway? Also, if they needed to get it off, why couldn't they just email it to themselves? Because that's, I mean, it's kind of like she just, Rebecca discovers emailing later because she's like, oh, we could email the tabloids.
Your guess is as good as mine. I guess because if they email it to themselves, it does leave a trail, right? If you email it to yourself, then Teresa can look and see, oh, I sent an email to Rebecca Hotchkiss. I didn't send an email to Rebecca Hotchkiss, you know? So I guess it makes more sense to like download it, get yourself your own copy of it that way, a hard copy of it. But yes, she could have sent it to a dummy email. I don't know. They also, the way they have email set up, again, I will say the writers of this show did not understand how technology worked at all, because the fact that they were like, oh, it came from an anonymous email, but we didn't see Rebecca set up a new email address. They just emailed it from, they didn't understand how email addresses work. That's obvious. That's very obvious. Because that once Teresa sends the email from Teresa's email account, it will say Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald wherever it goes.
I was like thinking about it this morning, like how would they think that works? And then I was like, well, what if the tabloid had like a contact us page?
Right.
I guess then you could, but then I was like, did they have those really in 2001? I'm like,
no. She just emailed it to them. But yeah, if they had a contact page, then you could just upload the document, right?
No, like it matters. It's just this fucking show.
No, this is
very curious.
That's how my brain works too. I'm just like thinking, and I'm always thinking through like, how could they have done this? And it doesn't even matter. It's like the tiniest little detail that well, the email does matter. Of course it matters, but it's such a tiny detail, because the way this all comes out much later anyway has nothing to do with the email. Like it's ridiculous. But let's move on. We've been talking about her emails for quite some time. I'm feeling like I'm a conservative talk show host talking about Hillary Clinton. Her emails. But her emails. So, let's talk about, so Rebecca is all excited that she's done this thing, and she goes over to talk to Julian. She finds Julian and she says, I can't believe that Ivy kept this from you for so long, and you must be hurting so much. That's my Rebecca impression. It's so bad. But Julian gives her the cold shoulder because she's thinking, which again, a bad plan. You thought blowing this man's life up was going to make him horny for you? Right? You thought this man finding out that you thought exposing to the world that this man was cuckolded by his wife, and she's been passing off a kid that's not his for a solid 2 decades, was going to make him super horny for you, and then he was going to marry you? Like, what kind of plan is this? It was going to turn him on, I guess. She's a nut. It's such a bad plan. And again, I don't think she's dumb. I just think she did not think this through. I think maybe she thinks that Julian is as heartless as she is.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and he wouldn't care, because she says, wow, Julian seems to be taking this harder than I thought he would. Like, bitch, how did you think he was gonna take it? How did you think he was gonna take it? How would you take, like, think about that. Like, I wonder how she would take it if she found out that, like, Gwen was switched at birth, right? Like, I mean, and we do have a new Gwen. Like,
yeah. Oh my God. I don't think she would care.
Yeah.
She's like, just let her fucking fall off the roof onto her daughter. She's like, well, you're fine.
That's true. That's true. You're right. She probably wouldn't care. Yeah, but she is so surprised that Julian is taking the news so hard, and it's so funny to me, because how else would he take it? Who's gonna take this news on? Like, who's gonna like just have a stiff upper lip and take it on the chin? Alistair did. Alistair took the news. Alistair took the news better than anybody else, I think. He just was like, all right, time to move on, kick them out of the house. And they immediately started calling Julian a bastard, calling Ethan Ivy's bastard. I mean, we'll get there though. So she's cozying up to Julian. Julian says, gives her the cold shoulder, says, I really hope you understand, but I do not want to talk about this right now. And he goes off and he spends some time alone in the solarium. And he sees a picture of him and Ethan, and he looks at it and he just starts to cry. He cradles it and he cries, and it's so sad. I really felt bad for Julian. He's grieving the loss of his son. And it sucks because even though Julian has raised Ethan, I mean, Ethan has been off at boarding schools and stuff, but he has been raising Ethan like he was his son. You know, that's how he would raise any of his kids. And to learn that Ethan is not technically his son, is not his blood, is a real blow to him, and it would be to anybody. I don't care how evolved you are. I don't care how evolved you are. This would really take the air out of you. It would really deflate you, I think, any person. And I think a lot of people would have a moment of mourning, a moment of grieving for what they thought they had. But Julian is really upset. Rebecca is like watching from outside, and she says, oh my God, Julian's tears are my ticket to the altar. What planet does this woman live on?
Yeah, I don't know what she's thinking at this point. She's just on her one-track mind of, this is the plan, this is how it's going to happen. And somehow it'll work out despite the fact that it seems impossible.
And it's clearly your plan is falling apart. It's obvious to me. I'm sure it's obvious to any viewer that her plan is falling to pieces. It is not working the way she thought it was going to work. And she seems to think everything's on track. And refuses to switch course. Change course, girl. You're headed for disaster.
Yeah, it's like there was like a little dream sequence she had a while back where it's like the secret was revealed, and then Ivy is immediately cast out, and then Ethan, gets rid of Teresa, and then everyone just flips around and like, okay, Ethan's with Gwen again, and now Julian's all about Rebecca. It's like that was her little dream.
Yeah,
and it's very fast. It's just gonna play out. It's clearly not happening.
No.
That way.
Well, and
not exactly anyway.
Well, and in her dream, the way she revealed it was she just brought the letter and she read it.
Oh yeah.
in with the family. That's it. And I think had she done that, then the way the plan may have worked out more closely than to how she wanted it to work out. But the fact that she put it in the tabloids and put it all out, like they didn't get the chance to
process it,
to process the information and to disseminate it the way that they wanted to. They didn't get to be the people who, I mean, the story is about them, but they didn't get to tell the story. Right. So she kind of stole that from Julian, that she took the control from him. And we know Julian needs to be in control as much as he can, because his father is so domineering, so he overcompensates with the other people in his life for sure. Well, he's grieving, and Rebecca's watching on, and then she leaves. And then Sheridan comes in. She finds Julian. Oh, she finds Julian crying, and she attempts to comfort him. I feel so bad for Julian. I know he's terrible, and I know I've said this a bunch. Like, I know how awful Julian is, but man, this is rough. And then couple that with like how awful his father is and how badly his dad treats him. I have some sympathy I have such sympathy for Julian. So Sheridan tries to comfort him. He kind of plays it off, saying he's not crying. It's just allergies. There's flowering plants in here that are making his allergies act up. And she says, I don't care what any tabloid says. Ethan is still our family. He's still your son, maybe not by blood, but in every way that counts. And I loved this. I made mention of this last week because I said I made a disclaimer about how the way we talk about this particular storyline, I feel like it can be triggering for some people because not everybody knows their biological parents, but have parents who have raised them, and those are your parents. It's unfair to say you are not the person, you're not related to these people because they didn't give birth to you, or because you don't have their bloodline necessarily biologically. That's still your father. It's hard to say like Ethan's not Julian's son. He is Julian's son for all intents and purposes. Julian raised him as his son, so he is Julian's son. And that's the point that Sheridan makes. And I love that we finally got there, because everybody else in this show has been saying Ethan is not Julian's son. Ethan is Sam's son. Sam don't even know that man. Right? Ethan is not Sam's son. Sam doesn't even know him. And Ethan don't know Sam. You know, Julian knows Ethan. Ethan knows Julian. They are father and son. And Sheridan makes that point. You raised him. He's yours. And you should still love him. And she says you do love him, and he loves you. I know you do. And she says your relationship doesn't have to change just because of this. And Julian seems to be coming around to that. Like, he's listening to her. You can see he's listening to her. And he's like, yeah, like, I like what I'm hearing from you, Sheridan. He doesn't say that, but he likes what he's hearing from her. Because he's grappling with this. And immediately, Alistair calls, as if by magic. I mean, I'm sure it's he's had this whole house. Yeah, I'm sure it's by surveillance. By surveillance, but he's got this whole house bugged. He's like, uh-oh, let me get in here. Sheridan is trying to make my son soft. So Alistair calls, and it's disgusting. It's the most disgusting. I don't know if it's the most disgusting phone call we've had from Alistair, because the one about the black baby that died, that was pretty disgusting. This was really rough, though. He immediately, Alistair picks up the phone. I mean, Julian picks up the phone, and Alistair says, oh, cry me a river, Julian. That is if you have any tears left. I mean, he's a hideous human. And then he, it's just especially cruel to Julian. He tells him to pull himself together, act like a crane, don't be weak. And then he admonishes Julian for not having recognized Ivy's bastard wasn't his son all these years. He says, how could you have not figured it out? I mean, you were here too. How could you? Exactly. How could you not have figured it out? And he says, put me on speakerphone. I know Sheridan's there with you. Of course he does, because he's always watching and listening. I would not live in this house. I would not live on this estate. You
got money, just get a new one.
Right. But maybe Alistair just is very, very controlling of the finances or something. But I would not live in this. Like, I would go get a job or something. Like, I would not live here. I don't know how Julian has stayed here. So I guess he enjoys the amount of like power he does have as a crane. If he basically abdicated his place in the family, then he wouldn't have access to any of that, I guess. But is it worth it? Is it worth the emotional abuse? I don't think so. Because he could make his own fortune. You know, you have a formal education, probably a great education. You have a lot of contacts. You know a lot of people. People know you. He could build his own industry. He could. He's a rich white man in the early 2000s. He could have. The world is his oyster, you know. So he could do so much, but he stays because he's abused. You know, and a lot of people in abusive relationships, and make no mistake, Julian is in an abusive relationship with his father. They all are. Alistair is an abusive father, and both of his kids are in abusive relationships with him, and they both want his approval. Sheridan is starting to break away from that a lot more, but Julian is very stuck there, very, very stuck there. But it's easier for Sheridan too, because she will never be the Crane heir. There's no there's no chance that she would ever be the Crane heir. Alistair flat out said he can't give it to Sheridan. A woman doesn't deserve the power. His words, not mine. So Julian has a lot of pressure on him. And I know I'm defending Julian a lot, and I know he's a villain, but I just can't help it. This man, I just can't help it. I feel so bad for him. Anyway, Alistair says to both of them, he says, our family has been a victim of Ivy's deception. And then he starts talking about something about the Bennetts. He says that the Bennett family they've been a thorn in our sides for many, many years. He talks about how the Cranes foreclosed on the Bennett family farm, and they did that to show them their place. So there's like some history there, which which Sam has alluded to before. We just don't know exactly what it is, like what the struggle between the two families was that led to the Cranes taking the Bennett farm. But apparently it was in retribution for something, as evidenced by what Alistair is saying. And then he says, it infuriates me to think that I embraced old man Bennett's great-grandson as my own grandson. Okay. I mean, he's disgusting. But Sheridan stands up to Alistair. He says, Ethan is still our family, and he's the same man we've always known and loved. Ethan is still a Crane. Alistair says, the hell he is. Oh, okay. He says, he's nothing but a Bennett. I mean, the switch, the way Alistair has to be a sociopath. Right?
I could see that. Yeah.
He has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like to have no connection. He was ready to kill Sheridan in the early episodes. Poised to kill her. I mean, he has no connection to the people in his life. He doesn't care about them beyond what they can do to keep him elevated and keep him on his pedestal, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just so nasty. It's interesting. My favorite thing about this whole revelation is that Ethan, his whole for 400 episodes, we've seen Ethan defending his family, defending the Cranes. They're not that bad. I'm a Crane, and yeah, we can be, tough, but at the end of the day, we're a family, and I love them just as much as anybody loves their family. We've heard him say these things, defending the Cranes, and he's about to get a taste of what everybody else has been saying about the Cranes, that they are ruthless and that they do not care about anyone beyond themselves. And since Ethan is no longer a Crane, he's about to fuck around and find out. He's about to find out. I love that, though. I love it. I really do. Because they have built him up so much, or built his character up so much in this like Crane-ness. Like I'm constantly defending the Cranes, even though they're fucking horrible. And he's about to find out why everybody hates his family so much. He is always so confused why people hate the Cranes so much. And it's so interesting to me that he doesn't know, and now he's about to know. You really about to know, because Alistair is done with him already. It's over. You're no longer. So, let's see. Sheridan then asks Julian, they are still on this call with Alistair, if he still loves Ethan. And Julian says, of course I do. But then he says, he starts to think about Ivy, and he's like, but it was all a lie. She lied to me. I held him in my arms and I loved him from the second I held him, but it was all a lie because he wasn't my son. And then Julian just starts to seethe, like he's seething. He's just, boiling. You can see it. And he starts to plot. He's like, I will have my revenge on Ivy and Sam. They're no misery like they've never known misery, and Alistair's like, good man. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. That's the reaction I'm looking for. You know, yeah, we're thinking about revenge. Sheridan says, that's not important. Like, Ivy and Sam don't matter right now. We should be standing behind Ethan and supporting Ethan because he is hurting. And Julian says, Ivy's love child is of no concern to me anymore. Damn, that's fucked up. And I know I just gave Julian this whole like how I feel so bad for him, but that's fucked up. It really is. And I honestly, I have no rationale for it. I can't rationalize that one.
I mean, I think it's just Alice he's hearing, you know, he can't have these emotions. He can't feel bad about it. Alistair doesn't care. Therefore, Julian needs to not care either.
That's exactly right. You're absolutely right. Alistair doesn't care, so why should Julian? That's how he feels, I guess. It's unfortunate. Then Alistair tells Sheridan, this is what comes of commingling with the lower classes. Let this be a lesson to you, Sheridan. It's like these two situations are so vastly different. Okay, first of all, but Alistair says Ivy had a relationship with someone who was beneath her, and now we're all paying the price for it. I was like, no, Ivy had a baby with Sam and then decided not to tell anybody. You know, like Sheridan's in love with Luis. Those are two very different things. Like they are in a relationship. But anyway, let's talk about Ethan. And I think, is it Ethan? Yes. Ethan finds Ivy's locket and then realizes, like, man, he sees what's inside. He opens it immediately. Remember, I don't know if anybody remembers. He had her locket before and was like trying to open it and just could not because he was just too dumb. But this time he got it, opened it up immediately, saw what was inside.
It was already open, like on the floor, like kind of smashed open.
You know what? That would make a lot of sense. Up.
He's like, oh, no wonder. She's also upset when I was like holding it and stuff.
That makes more sense. I can't stand him. I really can't. But anyway, Ivy comes in and Ethan tells her he doesn't want to talk to her about it. He doesn't feel like talking about it. Fair. She should just let it go. Honestly, like let this man, give your son some time to process this enormous deception that you have perpetrated against him. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I will react if I found out that my mother knew that my daddy was not actually, we weren't actually blood related and just never told me. You know, it's one thing to not tell your kid when they're little, you know, but at some point that's something you should tell your kid, you know. And if I found out, I mean, me and my dad look exactly alike. So there's really literally no way he's not my father. There's no way he's not my father. I don't know. I can't express this enough. There's, you know, those filters where you can look like a man or look like a woman. Yeah. Like you can change genders. I did it one time and it scared, like it scared me because I was like, oh my God, I looked just like Randall. I looked just like him. So yeah, no, there's no way he's not my father. If anything, she's not my mother. No, I look like her too, but in a different way. I'm built like my mom, but my face and everything is like my dad. Now that everybody knows that about me, let's get back to passion. So Ivy comes in. Ethan says he doesn't want to talk about it. She says, just let me explain. And he gets upset because he was trying to give her an out because he was mad at her. He doesn't want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to you. I'm mad at you. Give me a minute. I love you. I can't talk to you right now. But she keeps pressing him. She's just like, let me explain. And he goes, let you explain what? That my whole life has been a lie? That my own mother knew the truth but deliberately kept it from me? How can you explain such deceit? You say you love me, and yet you lied to me from the moment I took my first breath. He says, I don't know where I belong. I don't even know my own name anymore. And that's all because of you. Boy, oh boy. I dislike Ethan, but I also feel bad for him. That's the theme of today's show. Feeling bad for people that I don't like, because I feel bad for Charity right now. Like I feel bad for Julian, and I feel bad for Ethan.
Yep.
Yeah. So that he walks off from her. That's it. Because she's left speechless. How do you respond to that? What do you say?
There's no response, really. It's just
silence.
She's got to accept that. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. It's 100% true. And honestly, he was nicer about it than I think I would have been. Truly. I would be pissed. Ethan's trying to keep it together, but he doesn't keep it together for very long. He goes upstairs and has himself a little fit.
Yeah.
So after that, Ivy talks to Pilar and says, I don't know how this happened. You saw me burn the letters. Nobody else had access to them. How did this happen? How did the tabloid get my letter? Pilar's like, I don't know. Pilar always does what I would do, which is play dumb. Play dumb. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. That's crazy, girl. I don't know. Maybe we should call Miss Cleo. Maybe she knows. Call a psychic. Get to the bottom of this. No, so she plays dumb. She's like, yeah, I don't know. She's very tight-lipped about the whole thing. I mean, she looks worried, but because she knows, but she doesn't say anything. But Ivy vows that when she finds out, she's gonna destroy whoever it is. That it's over. She's gonna exact her revenge. So cool. Ivy takes Pilar upstairs, and Ivy then says, I need to go see Sam. This shit was weird to me. Like, how did you feel about this?
I mean, she's like that through a lot of these episodes where she just for some reason needs to see Sam or talk to Sam or whatever. But at this time, like right now, why?
Right. This is the moment you choose. You think right now is really the most appropriate time. Do you think he even wants to lay eyes on you? You know, like what makes you think that he would want to see you, would want to hear your apology? I wouldn't want to hear that shit right at this right moment. Like maybe tomorrow, you know, seriously, I could see her getting in touch with Sam the next day, because at some point she does have to get in touch with Sam. But not tonight, after his pregnant wife just took a tumble down the stairs because she found out that y'all have a son together that you kept from him for 25 years. I mean, it defies all logic. But she's like, I need to go to Sam. I need to go see him. And Pilar's like, no, you don't. Pilar's like getting fed up with Ivy. She's like, bitch, take a sleeping pill and go to bed. She's like, you need to sleep. She tells her, you know, going to see Sam right now is only going to cause more hurt than you've already caused tonight. And Ivy agrees with her and says, okay, give me my sleeping pill. I'll go to bed. But then we see her at the hospital. Then she decides I guess she sneaks away from Pilar.
She absolutely did.
We see her at the hospital in her fur coat, no less. Fabulous. I mean, fabulous. You cannot show up to the hospital to apologize to a man whom you've kept his son from him for 25 years looking that damn good. It's not right. It's not right. Frankly, she should have worn sweatpants and a t-shirt, maybe a sweatshirt, maybe some flip-flops or something, a messy bun. She looked fabulous. No, this isn't. No, Ivy. This is the wrong choice of wardrobe for this conversation, and to try to be inconspicuous because she gets to the hospital. So okay, let's actually stop here and go to the hospital and talk about what happened at the hospital once they got Grace there. So they get Grace everybody gets Grace to the hospital. It's Eve, TC, Sam, and Grace, who've all gone to the hospital. Apparently, Grace. In the ambulance, we get a scene of Grace, like they're saying she might go into cardiac arrest. So I don't think she did, I think they just said it to show that she was like in serious condition. But apparently Grace is in bad shape. Okay. So they admit her to the hospital. They never tell us what's wrong with her. They never give us any like medical diagnosis, no medical, like she's got an issue with some broken bones. She has an issue with like, what is wrong with her that she's not awake, you know? So I guess Eve probably orders some tests and maybe they're just waiting on the tests. I'm really not sure. This hospital's a disaster. I would not go to this hospital. You would not get the best care. You just don't get the best care at Harmony Hospital, unfortunately.
No,
but
not at all.
I would just drive the 20 minutes to Castleton if it were me. I'm sure they have a better hospital. I think. I don't know. Maybe not. But they say Ivy's at the not Ivy. Lord Jesus, Grace. Grace is being admitted, and everybody's all worried about her. Sam's all worried about the baby and about Grace and his guilt and how could this have happened. He's still thinking that Ethan isn't his son, which is insane. Which is insane that he's still in the mind, and maybe he's just in deep denial, but he's still like, Ethan can't be my son. It's like, do the math, bro. Of course he's your son. Of course he's your son. Literally everybody's telling you he is. Ivy has already said it. Pilar said it. Everybody's telling you this is the truth. Ivy tells her whole story and you're like, oh yeah, no, Ethan's definitely your son. Not only that, Grace has said on several occasions how much Ethan looks like Sam
or he looks
and
like
Noah.
Sam, yeah.
That he looks like Sam and Noah, that he could be a Bennett. She said it on several occasions. So all of those things together should tell you, oh man, yeah, he definitely is my son, you know, unfortunately. But no, Sam is still like walking around this hospital in denial, I guess. Eve won't let them see Grace. He's out with TC. And TC flat out asks him, he's like, I saw the way you looked at Ivy when she was telling her story. I could see that you had hurt in your eyes. And I could see that you were like ready to get into the middle of things if things got physical between her and Julian. And Sam says, yeah, I did, but it's just the cop in me. Like, I just don't want anybody to be hurt at a party or in any situation. And TC flat out asks him, you know, because he's kind of pussyfooting around. I can't think of another word. Do you know what pussyfooting is?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like saying pussyfooting is a very Southern thing. You're pussyfooting around the issue. But TC is kind of pussyfooting around the issue. And Sam finally says, just say it. What are you trying to say? What is it that you want to say to me? And he says, well, Sam Bennett, are you still in love with Ivy Winthrop? And this is where we should pick up with Ivy. Ivy has shown up to the hospital. She comes in on this end of this part of the conversation, and she's just standing there listening in. And she's like, yes, this is interesting information. I mean, all of this crazy shit's going on. And this is what you're worried about? Like, does Sam love you? No, he doesn't love you. He detests you. Are you serious? But which is what he basically says. He says to TC, he says, I feel nothing for Ivy. I have no feelings for her. Zero. And then he corrects himself and says, no, I do have feelings for her. Loathing and anger. That's what I have for her. And I will despise her forever. It actually says I will despise that woman forever, which I always think is such a kind of venom filled. I don't know, I always think of it like that because I think I said this in the podcast once, that like my family used to call my ex-stepmother that woman, and it just was never a good thing. It was always really nasty. So anytime somebody says that woman, that's exactly what it's colored by that for me. But I think he meant it the same way my grandma meant it when she said it. Okay, in this moment, I think that he felt about Ivy the same way we all felt about that lady, that woman. So Ivy tries to get out of there, but she knocks something over with her giant fucking coat. Because she's dressed like a bear, and she knocks over something. And so Sam sees her, walks over to her. It's like, what are you doing here? You need to get out of here. You should leave. The sight of you makes me sick. He grabs her, tells her to get out. But then he says, I want to hear it from you. Is Ethan my son? You already heard it from her. She said that already. She said it like twice at the party already. We already did this. Is Ethan really my son? And she very strongly says, yes, he is. And then they have a whole conversation about, he says, why didn't you tell me? And she says, well, I was just doing what was best for Ethan. How? Ivy loses me here. Ivy loses me on the I was doing what's best for Ethan train. But you know what? Sam really takes her to task on that. He says, how is this what was best for Ethan? What's best for a child is to have two parents who love him, to have his parents raise him together. And what happened? He says, what happened to you, Ivy? The girl that I used to love would have never done something like this, except the girl that you used to love did do something like this. Like literally, she did it immediately after y'all broke up. Yep. Like she was that same girl. But he says, what happened to you? Did becoming a crane change you that much? And she says, no. Finding out that my father deceived me and ripped the man I loved from me, that's what changed me. And then she goes on to say, you have no idea what it's like to find out that your marriage is a business deal and a complete sham, to live your life in a loveless marriage. And he says, no, I don't, because I'm not a liar. And Ivy says, you have no right to judge me. Like they start having it out in this hospital loudly. Eve comes out and like, what the fuck is all this yelling about? This is a hospital, people. But very quickly, which kind of diffuses the situation. Sam then apologizes to Ivy saying, you know, you're right. I don't know what your life has been like. And then she just hugs him and he comforts her. Like, I would not. I'd be like, girl, too much, too close. All I said was sorry, not hug me. All I said was sorry. That does not mean bring over. No, all is not forgiven. All I said was sorry that I got a little rough with you just now. That's it. I'm not sorry that I'm mad at you. I'm still mad at you. Don't hug me. But she hugs him. He kind of comforts her and says, then he says, forgive me for what I said earlier. He asked her for forgiveness. Listen, Sam is clearly still in love with Ivy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying he don't love Grace. He does love Grace. He obviously loves Grace very much. But this goes to say what I said earlier. Like, you can love people love more than one person in their lifetimes. You know, you can love more than one person at the same time. But you do. I mean, unless you have a conversation with your partners, you do have to make a choice. You know what I mean? You know, but you know, ethical non-monogamy is a very valid lifestyle. I have several friends who love living like a poly lifestyle or like ethically non-monogamous, because they're like, I get to be with the partner that fulfills certain things for me, and then a partner that also fulfills other things for me. And then, you know, me personally, I don't know that I'd be able to split my time with that many people. You know, like I just don't know that I would be able to commit to spending time with multiple romantic partners on any serious level, right? Like, not for me. Just because I want my alone time. I feel like if I have one boyfriend, then I can spend some time with my one boyfriend, and then I'll have plenty of other time by myself. But then if you add a second boyfriend, it's like, now I have to spend time with this one, the same amount of time with this one as I spend with the other one. And then that cuts down on my me time. That cuts down on what I call tea time. That's what my me time is. It's tea time. LeTara tea. But anyway, yeah. But great. Of course, Grace is not going to go for ethical non-monogamy. Ivy 100% would. 100% would. She was ready to be his side piece.
Yeah, like she didn't care.
Yeah. But he apologizes to her, says to forgive him for what he said earlier. Meanwhile, Grace is having a dream. Grace. the way they write Grace is criminal. Grace has a dream of Ivy. She realizes it's that same dream of
it's
the
that dream where there's a
woman.
woman with a thing. Oh, yes, but it's finally revealed. It's Ivy.
It's that same dream of the cloaked woman with the young boy. And it's finally revealed that the woman in the cloak is Ivy. And she's saying, he's mine because I have a son with him. Then Grace is saying to herself, she says, she comes to and says, I need to find Sam. I can't let Ivy take him from me because they have a son together. Bitch, y'all have 3 full children together and you pregnant and y'all are married. Like, what's one son that he doesn't even like gonna change? That's another thing. So I don't think I said this enough. And man, we are running long. I've been talking for forever. I'm sorry. But that's another thing. I would not be that upset. And maybe it's just me. Yes, I would be upset that once Ivy came into our lives and you didn't tell me that you and Ivy were in a relationship, but finding out that they had a son together that my husband knew nothing about would not upset me that much, especially a grown man a baby that y'all had before you met me. It'd be different if we were married and I found, like, if Ethan was 15, if Ethan was the same age as Kay, you know, we call those hood twins, ghetto twins. If you have two kids who are the same age but from different mothers, they're ghetto twins or hood twins. That's a different story. But that's not what's going on here. Ethan is 5 years older than your oldest child. Like, he predates your relationship. And so it definitely, don't get me wrong, it definitely would be a shock. It definitely would take some adjustment. But I would not be fainting and falling out over that information.
I mean, my perspective is, who is writing this story? Men. And they're like, oh, this would hurt a woman, wouldn't it? This would be terrifying and terrible and the worst thing she could ever imagine. Yeah.
And it's not. And it's just not. I mean, it's bad. It is bad.
Sure.
But it ain't like, I mean, I'm gonna get hospitalized bad, right? Like, it's not like I need to be checked into the psych ward bad. Like, no. But Grace gets up and she's like, I need to find Sam. So of course she immediately stumbles upon Sam hugging Ivy, and then she collapses again. This time it's, I guess, even worse than before, because later, when
she's gonna fall, she's like, this time, I don't remember what is happening on the stairs, but this time she was like clutching her like stomach area or whatever, and you're like, oh no, that's not good. And then she collapses.
So we know that the baby is in danger. Grace is going to lose this baby. That is obvious.
So wait, how long has she been pregnant, or known that she was like a couple weeks? Like, she's
in her first trimester, so it's less than 3 months that she has been pregnant. It's less than 3 months, but it's new, and she has difficult pregnancies, they said, apparently. And she's also old. She's old for having a baby. Okay, that is dangerous to have a baby that old. So she collapses. He tells Ivy, get the hell out of here. I don't ever come near me or my family again. Ivy says, what about Ethan? He's your family too. Girl, go home. Go home. Not now, Ivy. Not now. Not now. I can't stress that enough.
No, everyone in the show has like the worst timing for everything.
Yes. Well, Ivy's so self-centered, right? So selfish and self-centered, because this isn't even about Ethan. It's about her. Her. And so Sam says to her, Ethan doesn't matter right now. And he says, Ethan may be my blood, but for all intents and purposes, he is a Crane through and through. It's interesting. I feel bad for Ethan. Again, I'm gonna reiterate. I feel bad for Ethan. He's about to be rejected by both of his families, right? Because Sam doesn't want anything to do with him, and he doesn't want anything to do with Sam. But I don't think he anticipated. I don't think he will be anticipating Julian and Alistair's treatment of him at all. But yeah, he says he's a Crane. He ain't no Bennett. He doesn't belong to me. He only thinks of me as Harmony's incompetent police chief. So he's not my family. You're wrong about that. And then he then says, because Ivy, I don't know exactly what Ivy said, but it was something that triggered this response. He says to her, "You're not the victim." He says, "Julian, Ethan, and I are victims of your deceit." He's right on the money. He's right on the money. Mm-hmm. She is not the victim. And yes, at a certain point, she was the victim, but at this point in the story, she no longer is the victim. Unfortunately, Ivy, you can't blame it on your father. You did this. You chose this. And he says, you could have come to me once you knew that you were pregnant. You didn't have to go back to Julian. You only did that for revenge, not for love of Ethan, not for love of me. You did it for revenge because you put revenge above love, and you put your own selfish needs above love. And that was your choice, not mine. So he says, because she said, that's what it was. She said, we could have been a family. We could be a family. Mm-hmm. He said, you threw that away. And he said, I already have what you threw away with Grace and my 3 children and our unborn child. And I am not going to put that in jeopardy any longer, So that's it. He says, Ethan hates me and he always will. Do you have anything to add to this?
I've been going back and forth on Ivy. I really initially liked her a lot, and I still like her in some ways, but the more it goes on, the more I'm realizing, oh yeah, like really Ivy was not doing what was best for Ethan. She was doing what was best for her circumstance. And she just like tells everyone, or herself, I guess, it's for Ethan. It's all for Ethan. I love Ethan. Doesn't really seem, it's really her and her freakish continued obsession with Sam, I guess 20 plus years on. It's so strange. And
I agree.
The more I see it and think about it.
No, I agree. I love Ivy. I really do. I like her as a character. I like her in the same way I like Teresa. Obviously, I like Teresa more, but I like them for a lot of the same reasons, that they go after what they want. They know what they want, and they set out to get it. And they're strong women. I love a strong female lead, But yeah, Ivy makes poor choices. She makes bad decisions from the beginning of this story. She, the fact that when she found out that Julian didn't love her, she decided to go and cheat on him immediately with Sam, instead of like dealing with this situation and getting her fucking marriage annulled, right? Doing what she could to get a divorce and go back to Sam, or be clear with them. You know what? You don't love me. I don't love you. Let's just understand that I'm going to be over here with Sam. You do over to you, and we can go to I'll get ethical non-monogamy. Hello. It would work so well for Ivy. That's what she needs. That's what she needed. But
yeah, well, no, they weren't thinking about that when they made Passions. As evidenced by like when Ethan was in love with Teresa and Gwen, and everyone's like, how can someone love 2 people at once? Oh my God, that's not possible. Like, I was like, just rolling my eyes.
Me too. Oh my gosh. Speaking of eye rolls, there were so many eye roll inducing moments in this show. Like this week, I was just like, so many times I rolled my eyes. And we're about to get to that, the biggest eye roll of all. Let's talk about Teresa. We're gonna blast through this. It's not a lot with Teresa and Ethan. Basically, Rebecca and Gwen and Teresa and Ethan keep having this same very stale back and forth conversation. I don't even know if you could even call it a conversation. It's just a quick exchange of words, and it's the same exchange of the same words over and over again, and the words are, Rebecca says, I can't believe somebody would have known this information about you and sent the information to the tabloids and didn't tell you about it. And how ruthless does a person have to be to know something like this about you and not tell you? And Gwen is co-signing this with her mother, right? Gwen and Ethan agrees, and Teresa says nothing. And Rebecca and Gwen kind of eye Teresa Like they know that she knew, but she doesn't catch on, right? We do that 17 times. I don't know. We do that so many times. And they're like, and Ethan says that if he ever finds out who sent it, who did this, he could never forgive somebody who knew this information about him but didn't tell him. Even though obviously he's gonna forgive Ivy, and she's the biggest culprit of all, right? So they do that a bunch. Then Gwen and Rebecca finally realize that they cannot expose Teresa for having known this information about Ethan without exposing themselves. Duh, you dumb bitches.
Should have been obvious, but whatever.
Kada. I just the fact that it took them so long is disgusting to me, especially because Rebecca's not dumb. Gwen is, but Rebecca's not a dumb. Although they're trying to make Gwen a little bit smarter. She's been stupid though for 400 episodes. So you're not gonna convince me. You're not gonna make fetch happen. You're not gonna convince me that she's not stupid. She is stupid. So they realize this. And so they're like trying to figure out how they can get around this, right? Rebecca's sure everything will fall into place. She's like, I'll get it figured out. Don't worry. But later, Teresa goes to comfort Ethan. And she says, I know you're hurting, but you haven't lost everything. We still have each other. And he says, maybe our being together isn't such a good idea. I can't stand this man. I really cannot. After all this bullshit, he's going to break up with this girl. At least that's what it seems like, right? He says, I just need some time to think about the past and the future. I need a little bit of time by myself. She says, I understand. I love you no matter what, whether you're a Crane or a Bennett or whatever you are.
Whatever you are.
Whatever you are. I love you just the way you are. And then Ethan goes upstairs, and once he gets upstairs and he's by himself, he kind of explodes. He throws pictures across the room. He knocks all his trophies off the mantle. He like rips the comforter off the bed. Yeah, like rips the comforter off the bed. Then he drops to his knees. He's like, oh, and he cries. Listen, I'm just gonna say the acting was bad.
Oh yeah, some of the acting's good in the show. Some of it is bad.
It was very bad. Like it was real. Like I laughed, and I shouldn't have been laughing because a lot of the stuff in these episodes made me cry. In this set of episodes, and especially in the last set of episodes, a lot of it really like touched me, made me cry. Julian's shit with Sheridan brought me to tears. Like when he was crying, it brought a tear to my eye. This should have made me emotional. It made me laugh, which is unfortunate, because I didn't want to be laughing because it was really sad, but the performance, the performance. So anyway, he gets up, he's upset, everything. Gwen takes this moment to kind of plant seeds of doubt in Teresa's head. She goes to Teresa. She says, you've lost him, right? You've lost Ethan forever, and you're never going to get him back. And then she just says, he basically did the same thing to me. No, he did not. No, that's not what happened. But she paints it like we told each other we loved each other. We were in love. I had a ring too. And then he dumped me the night before our wedding for you. So if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. I know Ethan better than you know him. Teresa's like, you know what? I'll just go talk to Ethan. So she goes upstairs, talks to Ethan. Ethan's like, what are you doing here? I told you I needed some space. She says, I just want to come in and check on you, which of course she should have. I don't think I would have left either. If that happened to my fiance and he needed space, definitely go to your room and take your time. But I'm going to come check on you in about an hour to make sure you ain't killed yourself. Straight up. 100%. I'm going to come and check on you to make sure that you haven't harmed yourself in some way. So I think it makes sense that Teresa goes to check on him. She says, I just want to check on you, see if you were okay. He says, well, I needed to talk to you anyway. So come on in. He has her sit down, and he tells her that he doesn't know who he is anymore. These were the eye-rolling inducing moments. I don't know who I am. My whole identity was wrapped up in being a crane. That was my entire, he says that was the whole of the sum total. Those were his words. I was a crane, and that has been the sum total of my identity. That's a direct quote. The fuck? What?
It's like, do I really love ballet, or is it just the cranes?
It's not healthy. It's not healthy to be like, to wrap your whole entire identity up in one thing, and that one thing being your last name. Well, no. It's so unhealthy. It's interesting to me that's like, I know, but we've been saying he had no personality, right? He doesn't have his whole personality is I'm a crane. Yeah. So I guess it would be pretty devastating. The one thing that you thought was kind of interesting about you is not even true about you anymore. Oh, I shouldn't laugh at Ethan. It's sad. But he says the sum total of my identity was being a crane. But now it means nothing, and I'm questioning everything. And he says, I don't know what I like, and I don't know what I don't like. And then he uses opera as an example. He says, opera. Do I like opera, or was I just raised to like opera? Do you? She says the right thing. She says, you like opera because it's beautiful. It's like, and I don't know how she has so much patience with this man in this moment. I really don't. But you know what? Teresa plays this so beautifully, because he says to her, I don't know what I like, what I don't like, or he says, I don't know why I like anything, or why I love anything. And she says, you know why you love me, right? Like, listen, if a man told me I don't know why I love you, bye. Right? Like, ooh, that's rough. Just because you found out that your daddy ain't really your daddy, you don't know why you love me. The two are not related. The two things are not related. I don't have anything to do with Julian or Sam Bennett. I am a separate entity altogether. But like, because you no longer are technically a crane, you don't love me anymore. Like, that's fucking crazy. That's a crazy thing to say. You don't know why you love me. You just don't know why you love me anymore. Because somehow your love for me was also wrapped up in being a crane. The fuck? Well, like, what does that mean? Like, what?
I mean, maybe I was trying to unpack it. Like, what does that mean? And I was thinking, well, maybe it's because of, like, he felt like, okay, he had his Gwen relationship, which was basically signed off on by his family, because it was like, this is the right woman to marry. And somehow the allure of defying his family is like part of the reason for his attraction to Teresa, not just Teresa herself. And that's like the best I could come up with, because I'm like, I don't know, how does Crane-dom relate to this love? I don't know.
Well, he says this, but then he kind of backtracks, because he says this, and it kind of devastates Teresa, like, as it should, as it would anyone, I think. She says, you do still love me, don't you? And he says, I don't know. Ouch. I just don't think it's right for me to love anyone when I don't even know who I am. Then I wrote in capital letters, bolded, I hate him. Because I do. I really hate him. Like, why don't you know who you are? Beyond what your name is. My name is not who I am. It's just how you call me. Right? It's just how you can identify me from other people. It's how you can call me out in the crowd, LeTara. It's not who I am. Who I am is a million other things. I mean, it is a very small part of it, right? It's a little piece of my identity, but your identity is made up of so many other pieces. Oh, I can't stand this man. And you know, he needed some tough love in this moment. He really did. If it were me, I would have done one of those, like, slap, you got to pull yourself together. Pull yourself together. You're not making any sense. You're talking nonsense. Pull yourself together. But Teresa plays this way better than I would have. And she says, you know, because he says, I don't think I can promise to love and cherish when I can't do the same thing for myself. And Teresa, at first she says, I won't let you do this. But then she says, I will always love you. And I don't care who you are or where you came from. And he says because she says it doesn't matter to me. And he says, it matters to me though. And he says, I'm sorry, Teresa, but I can't marry you. That's what he says to her. And he says he has to break up with her because he doesn't know what he has to offer his own wife. You don't know what you have to offer? I understand saying like, oh, well, there was this expectation that we were going to be billionaires, but now that expectation is different. But if the woman is saying to you, I don't care about that, then that doesn't matter. Okay. Well, then he says a bunch of bullshit about his identity and how he says it's not about his name, but it's about his identity, and his hopes and dreams of doing good with all the Crane money have been stripped from him. So you do know who you are. Like, you wanted to do good. You do know some things about yourself. Like, you know, you still want to do good with, like, you can still do good. You just don't have billions of dollars. You have to fundraise yourself. Like, you still know who you are and what you're about. But anyway, Teresa says to him, you know, you've been hurt too much tonight for me to argue with you. I loved this. God, I love her. God, I love her. Oh, she's so good. Oh, she says, you've been hurt too much tonight for me to argue with you. And then she takes off her ring. She says, I think I should give this back to you. I think this belongs to you. And Ethan's reaction is one of shock. And interestingly enough, he's shocked that she tries to give back her ring. He's like, Teresa, I didn't want to break off our engagement. Bro, that's exactly what you just said. That's exactly what you just said. Like, and so Teresa's like, wait, what? He's like, no, I just need some time to figure things out, but I definitely still want to marry you, just like not right now. And then, Teresa suggests, she says, I know how you can figure things out. You can figure things out on our honeymoon, girl. She says, let's elope. We should elope. This man just told you, I need some time and some space. And your response was, we should elope and you should just figure shit out on the honeymoon. I love her. She's a lunatic. At that first part where she takes off the ring and hands it to him, perfect, masterful. Oh my God, perfect. Because I mean, you know, I think it was a gamble. It was definitely a gamble for her. But I think she knew that once she did that, it would make it kind of real for him, and that he would realize, oh, wait a minute. I don't want this girl to just walk away. She's going to walk away. So that's it for them. He doesn't respond to her relationship stuff. There's some Chad and Whitney stuff, but I don't really want to talk about it because they have Whitney gets annoying again. Whitney's so annoying. It's interesting. I don't remember Whitney being this annoying. I don't. It's crazy. I've yet to like her. And I used to really like her. And I wonder if I liked her because she was Teresa's friend. You know, like, yeah. Or maybe much later. Maybe she's just better much later. But right now she's hella annoying. She was talking about, once all of this happened, she then like makes it about her and Chad and says, what if something comes out about you and your past that rips us apart? Like like something about your family. Maybe it's something like that. And he's like, I mean, maybe, but can't we just have a good time together now and not think about that? And she's like, I can't live like this. Girl, calm the fuck down. She says, I can't live like this. I've got goals and dreams. As if Chad doesn't have goals and dreams. Girl, I can't deal. I don't hate Whitney. I like Whitney, but she's very annoying at the moment.
I just don't understand that line of thought. Like, I guess I get that one thing when she was like the parents and the strictness and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go against my parents, but why this thing? If that's your fear, like secrets or something coming out, like what? Then never be with anybody. I don't know. Like, what is this? There may be something in the future. Okay.
She's annoying. She's so annoying. I just can't with her. And I don't know why Chad is chasing after this girl when Simone, beautiful, the gorgeous Simone, smartest girl in the world, is across town pining after him. He could just be but whatever. So that's it for the episode today. Marcus, before we leave, do you have anything to share with the audience where they can find you? I know you also have a podcast. Yes.
Yeah, I've actually got a couple podcasts, but the one probably most interesting to anyone listening to this show is I have a Passions podcast as well, but it's only me. I don't have another host or anything. It's just me talking to myself. And that's called Passion for Passions. Cool. So that's a podcast that's out there.
All right.
Internet. So yeah, that's really it. And I don't use Twitter or anything else very much. I have one, but it's like I'm never there. So it wouldn't be very fun to follow me.
Same. Yeah.
But like every once in a blue moon, I post something like related to passions that like no one that I follow is going to recognize or realize.
Yeah.
Like there was some news story recently where someone was buried, but the family was told it was one person, but it was somebody else. And the person who they thought was dead just showed up at the wake. And I was like, this is like Sam Bennett right here.
Wow.
I was like, this is like Harmony PD level.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. But yeah, so I'm not on Twitter except for like every once in a while to just post something like that.
All right. So for everybody else, you can always catch Passions Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at Passions Podcast. You can just search Passions Podcast and we will pop up. Please send some emails. I've gotten a few. I'm going to be reading some more and responding to those soon. I'm catching up on everything right now. So thank you to everybody who's still been listening, hanging in there with me. I love you all so much. And I am still having a good time doing this show. It's just changing and evolving, and it's fun. It's fun to keep up with this, but it is a lot of work, but I'm still having fun at it. So thank you, everybody. Remember, you are my passion for life. All right, I can still sing a little bit.